Hey everyone, Duke3D here, back again with another gas mask review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Italian C.60 gas mask. The C.60 is a Italian post-war industrial mask that was designed by Attilio Angioletti, which I am confident I'm not pronouncing correctly, and given an official US patent in 1965. The C.60 is a very long-lived and popular industrial mask designed throughout Europe, and particularly Italy, of course, that came in two main variants. The first being a standard air purifying respirator variant with a central 40mm port at the chin and two outlet discs on either side of the facepiece. And then this model, which you see here, seems to be the most common and popularly liked, which is sort of referred to as the firefighter variant, which is more or less designed so that it could be used with a rebreather unit, or it had an accessory angle tube accessory which threaded onto the central port and allowed it to have both an inlet and an outlet valve to use with a air purifying canister. Now, I don't know too much else about the history of this masks. They don't really have a lot of history on them. They're not very historically relevant masks, but the main reason I have this, because this is outside of my niche of collecting. I mostly focus on US stuff, but the reason I have these is because there was a metric shit ton of these on eBay that Moulage and I decided it would be a good idea to pick them up for me to restore, and I will be keeping two of the best condition ones for me and Moulage and selling the other two off. So I have 4 of these in my collection currently, and I will be selling 2 of them off once I get them all patched up and restored, because all of them have some form of minor damage to the peripheral face seal. The interesting thing about the C.60 is that you may notice here it has an internal oronasal cup, but much to the true Italian fashion of designing things, the oronasal cup is not really as much of a cup as it is sort of a oronasal dam, which prevents the incoming air from being deflected or circulating around the lenses, or the lens in this case. So it's more of just a barrier that keeps all the inhaled and out and exhaled air within the oronasal region of the mask, and the lens is completely separate, sort of almost as a separate goggle, really, in a sense, so that the nose cup is not really a function of the mask's deflector system. It is to a degree, but it is not emphasized by its ergonomics and its design features. So, but I'll get into that in a moment. So, outward appearance, it's a very basic industrial mask. Obviously a large panoramic eyepiece, which is very flat, by the way. This is probably one of the flattest panoramic lenses that I've seen, and it almost makes you assume that it's a diving mask. I honestly wonder if these were ever used or modified for diving applications. That seems to be the case for a lot of industrial masks. But nevertheless, very broad, flat panoramic lens with a central voice diaphragm in the front. No outlet valve, because obviously this does not need an outlet valve, given that it is designed for rebreathers and possibly SCBA units. And the 40mm port at the chin has no inlet valve whatsoever. It does have a internal thread, which I assume is supposed to coincide with the hose, which would be threaded onto this internal thread to help lock it in place to make sure nothing unscrews or falls out. And you can see there is no gasket on the internal here, so unfortunately you will not be able to seal this mask with a standard 40mm canister, despite it being 40mm NATO threaded. And again, you can thread all variety of canisters in here, they just won't seal because it lacks an internal gasket to keep a seal going. But so that's a bit unfortunate. If you do get one of these, you'll definitely want to make sure that it does have the accessory APR angle tube accessory. I keep saying accessory twice. So that's really all there is to say about that. The head harness is a pretty basic 5-point rubber head harness. This is probably one of my bigger complaints about the mask, is that it uses a lot of steel hardware. The lens frame is steel, all the buckles are steel, which is kind of a problem because, as you can see, all the buckles are integrally molded into the face blank, and so if these began to rust, then you'd have a big problem on your hands, because you can't exactly remove these and remove the rust very easily. So once they start rusting, they're just set in there. You can't do anything with those. So that's my biggest complaint with the mask. But we'll get into other details in a moment. So the head harness, again, 5-point adjustable elastic, has some molded ridges to catch on the buckles, and the lower 2 straps, as you can see, are removable in a very European fashion with the sort of hook and D-ring type assembly, which can be a bit finicky. This could have, been a little bit wider of a gap between the hook and the molded block that it is attached to. So you really kind of have to finagle it in order to get that buckle or that D-ring out of the hook. As you can see, even doing it on camera, not wearing it, is kind of a challenge. And of course, this strap is adjustable as well if you needed to. And on the back of the head harness, there's nothing really to see. On this example, you can see that the top strap is not stretchy. All the other straps are stretchy, but this one has a molded-in piece of canvas. There's a canvas webbing strip molded into the top strap, so as not to allow it to be flexible for whatever reason. I guess I just needed more durability up there, and so that's that. You have some markings on the facepiece, which is Pirelli, which is a manufacturer. I can't pronounce that. It's Italian. Brevettata? I don't know. I can't pronounce it. I'm not even going to attempt it. So if y'all Italian collectors in the comment section, you'll probably know what it is. Feel free to correct me on what it says, because I do not speak any other foreign languages. I would not know the first way of how that would be pronounced. Over here it says made in Italy. Duh. And then on this cheek, you have the designation of the facepiece, C.60, and a size 2 stamp. And these, from what I understand, came in either size 1 or size 2, which is very odd considering that I have another example here, which is also marked size 2, but the facepiece is considerably larger. I'll probably show this off better once I take the head off, or take this off the head, because this one is considerably larger than this one, but they are both marked size 2, as you can see. Oh wait, no, scratch that. I did not even notice that before. So, I'm totally wrong about that. For some reason, I thought this one was marked size 2. This one is actually a size 1. So, it's very much like the British sizing system, where the lower the number, the bigger the mask. So, obviously, this is a size large, and it is a size 1. So, now that that's been learned and out of the way, I will show off the interior of the mask, because that is probably the most interesting feature about the C.60 for me, at least. There really is nothing remarkable about the design other than this one internal feature with the nose cup, which I've sort of touched base on, but I will get into it more in depth now. So give me 1 second. And thankfully the head harness is super easy to invert on this mask due to the lower straps able to be fully disconnected. So looking inside the facepiece, at first glance it does not appear to be much interesting. You got a very average peripheral face seal, which is relatively comfortable. You have several inlet holes on both the deflectors and the chin piece there. Looking inside the back of the nose cup, you can see 2 holes where air would be allowed to be passed in and deflected over the lenses to some degree. However, like I said, 90% of your air is going to be down in the nose cup instead of around the lens, so you probably will have an inherent fogging issue with these masks. But the biggest curiosity to me is with the nose cup being integrally molded to the facepiece. You may have already noticed that, is that the nose cup is not a separate added on component. It is completely molded into the facepiece and attached to the peripheral seal, which, while very novel and interesting, has caused a bit of problems, because as you can see on most of these examples, they have a tear somewhere around the corner due to stress and age, and I will be patching all of these and reselling them. Thankfully it's not any damage that would cause any failure to seal the mask, although these masks don't really have that good of a seal anyways due to their poor ergonomics. It's really a case of they were designing the idea before they really designed the human factors of the mask. These are very non-ergonomic masks. They're very chunky and uncomfortable feeling on your face. Not like uncomfortable to the point where you don't want to wear it, but just uncomfortable to the point where it's like, wow, this thing does not feel like it was made for a human. So that's kind of weird to think about, is that it just feels like they really designed the features of the mask before its actual fit and function, I guess. But nevertheless, it's a very novel and interesting feature that you don't see too often, and I would assume that is for good reason given the fact that these are very tear prone. But that's really all I have to say on these. Again, I'm going to get these all restored, and I'm going to be selling 2 of them off to whoever wants them. I'll probably put them either on eBay or wherever. Just keep that in mind. That's really all I have to say on these. So if you have any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns, as always, drop them down in the comments below. Again, hopefully related to the video topic at hand. I'm Duke Nuga 3D, and I'll see you all later.